welcome to ForAllPrep. So in this session 3, in Basics of Algebra, we are going to discuss about polynomials. In the previous two sessions, session number 1 and 2, we have already discussed what are linear equations, how to solve them, what are algebraic expression. What we did was we performed some operation on it. What is an equation, what is an identity, and similar basic concepts in algebra. In this session 3, we are going to discuss on polynomials. So let's start. So what basically is a polynomial? Okay. So polynomial means poly means many. Poly means many. Okay. And nomial means terms. So there are many. Nomial means terms. So there are basically many terms. Okay. So like general form is a0 and then a1x and a2x square and similarly 3x cube ऐसे चलता जाएगा. ठीक है. Where you can say a0, a1, all these coefficients basically belong to real number, are numbers, and n is non-negative, negative नहीं है, integer. Okay, non-negative integer. x पता है अपने को कि x is a variable. Okay, so अब हम देखते हैं कि like number of terms के classification कैसे, how to classification कैसे कर सकते हैं, how we can do the classification of polynomials. So basically what we can do is we can have classification on the basis of number of terms के basis पे. So how? So let's see, there's something known as monomial. Okay, so here we have a single term like 2 root 2 x. Okay, 15 m 4. So term is only one. This is a single term, this is a single term. Second is binomial. So here we have two terms like 2x plus 8y and y to power 8 plus 9 to the power y7. Okay, two terms are there. So basically it's a binomial. Then trinomial means there are three terms. So three terms, okay, like x plus y plus z are three terms. One term, two term, and three term. Similarly, next we say there are polynomial. Next one is polynomial. There are multi-terms like x plus y plus z plus p plus k. These are there. Here we have five terms. Okay, so classification can be done on the basis of terms, number of terms. Then we will see the classification can also be done on the basis of number of degree, by degree, on basis of degree. So what is a degree? So degree is highest जो कि power आ रही है, like we say exponent. Power is exponent in any variable, of any variable, or we can say of any variable. Okay, is called degree. Okay, so like जैसे लिख रखा है कि x power 8 minus 3x5 plus 12. So here highest power variable की क्या है, 8 है. So the degree of this expression is basically polynomial is 8. Okay, degree is 8. So the highest exponent of a term is known as degree. Okay, so like एक example और देख लेते हैं कि example is कि अब डिग्री पूछ रखी है कि लाइक दे रखा है 4x क्यूब y टू पावर 2 z टू पावर 3 एंड p टू पावर 4. ठीक है, और ये जो अपने को डिग्री होती है ना, डिग्री इज ऑफ अ वेरिएबल ऑफ पावर ऑफ एनी वेरिएबल, और वी कैन से मोनोमियल. एक सिंगल टर्म लिखा है तो हम लोग वेरिएबल में तो डिग्री कंबाइन करना पड़ेगा, और डिग्री मतलब ऐड करनी पड़ेगी एक्सपोनेंट. तो यहाँ पे देखते हैं तो क्या आ जाएगा, 3 + 2 + 3 + 4 तो कंबाइन करनी पड़ेंगी। क्या करेंगे ऐड, तो आ जाएगा 3 + 2 = 5, 5 + 2 = 8, 8 + 4 = 12। सर डिग्री कितनी है? 12 है। ओके, या तो मोनोमियल का देखते हैं या तो वेरिएबल का देखेंगे। ओके, सो दो प्रकार की क्लासिफिकेशन समझ में आ गए। ओके, द नेक्स्ट इज वी हैव समथिंग लाइक, अब यहाँ पे हो सकता है और फर्दर क्लासिफिकेशन की लीनियर पॉलिनॉमियल है या फिर quadratic polynomial है, like we have quadratic equations, or we can say we have a cubic, like यहाँ पे maximum जो power है, max power is 1। ओके, यहाँ पे 2 है, यहाँ पे सिमिलरली 3 है क्यूबिक में। एग्जाम्पल फॉर लीनियर इज लाइक 5x + 9y is a linear, so power maximum power is 1 1। ओके, quadratic we have like quadratic लिखा हुआ है x² 8x plus okay 12, so here power maximum power is 2। then cubic is like x³ 3x² + 4। okay, so maximum power is 3। ठीक है, so we have a classification on the basis of the number of the terms in the expression polynomial, or on the basis of degree। okay, so next we will see, next we have something in mathematics which is, which we say that like an equation, we say an equation। okay, we already don't know what is the equation, equation in one variable, okay, and with degree k, degrees k, then the equation can have maximum of uh, k roots। okay, maximum of k roots, and value of the k, although also the real roots may be less than k, because some of the roots may be imaginary। okay, suppose, so the intuitive proof for this is कि वैसे मान लो हम लोगों ने कुछ लिख रखा है कि like x² + y² + 2xy, so we can factor it in, we will see factor next, but just to, for the sake of this explanation, we assume that this is equals to this, so basically this can be factored as this times this, so basically when we equate this to 0 to find the number of the roots, so since there are two brackets, okay, so we will have two values for x, okay, two values for x, so here the degree of the equation is 2, okay, but so the maximum roots here we have 2 only, because it can be factored in exactly two terms, or maybe less than two terms, but exactly two terms. Next is how to factorization of a polynomial. Next we are going to deal with what is known as factorization of polynomial. So what does the word factorization means? So if we have expression something else like this, which this can be factored as, like this can be written as x minus 2 times x minus 3, because if you open this bracket up you will get this exactly। okay, so the process, basically process like of writing an expression as product of different expressions, okay, is called factorization। so here what we did was, ये एक एक्सप्रेशन लिखा हुआ है, इसको हमने फैक्टर के फॉर्म में टू एक्सप्रेशंस के फॉर्म मल्टीप्लिकेशन में लिख दिया है। ठीक है, सो basically we have performed factorization on this expression। okay, similarly uh, the process of factorization helps us in finding roots. So basically there is something known as roots. So how we can find roots, like अगर एक्सप्रेशन लिख रखा है, एग्जांपल इस एक्सप्रेशन लिख रखा है x² - 5x + 6 इज इक्वल टू 0, आपको इस बोल रखा है इस इक्वेशन के आपको रूट्स बताने हैं. सो रूट्स, हाउ टू फाइंड रूट्स. सो हमने क्या किया कि इसको फैक्टर कर लिया ऐसे x - 2 x - 3. ठीक है, ओके. If you can factor this as x - 2 x - 3, then what we can see is कि if we equate this to 0, so either this, if this expression we assume as a and this as b, so if a multiplication b is 0, so either a is 0 or b is 0, or both a and b are 0. Only three cases are possible. या तो a 0, okay, then या फिर b 0 या a b both 0. So here, from here we get x - 2 is equal to 0 or x - 3 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 3. So we see that x is, when x is equal to 2 and 3, this equation equates to this expression on this side equates to 0. So basically these are the roots. Roots means the value at which at which the expression becomes, okay, 0. These are basically called roots. So using factorization we can find the roots of equation. Okay, next we see, like there is something known as a factor theorem or a remainder. We will see first what is a factor theorem. Factor theorem, and then we will see next what is a remainder theorem. Remainder theorem. So remainder theorem basically says that if an expression we have seen, this is an expression, okay, and if we divide this by x plus 1, okay, we know the division because we discussed that in the session 1. So you will get, okay, something like the remainder will be 4. Remainder will be 4. So you can try to divide it, but the remainder will be, here we will get the remainder as 4. So what we say in remainder theorem is that if an expression like f of x means f is a function of x, some combination of x and variable x and numbers, some numbers, okay, is we divided by x minus a, x minus a से हम divide कर रहे हैं fx को, then the remainder is f of a. Basically if we put this number a in it, then we will get the remainder, okay. So this is basically the remainder theorem. Example could be like we saw just above, like this. If we divide it by x minus 2, we will get and so if you want to find the remainder, if you find the dividing this by expression divide this expression, if we want to know the remainder, then we have to find the value of f of 2. Basically we here, if we have x minus a is 2, so basically we have to find the value of 2, f of 2, and f of 2 would be, so f of 2 would be 2 square. We put value of 2 in this expression, we will get 5 times 2 plus 6. This equals to 10 and this is 10, so it will be basically 0. So basically we see that if the remainder is 0, we can conclude that a is root of f of x, like a is root of f of x. So basically this is what known as remainder theorem. Then there is something also known as factor theorem. So what is a factor theorem? So factor theorem states that x minus a is factor है f of x का if and only if f of a is 0. ठीक है. So we already saw this example, like this example, and here we have an expression. If we divide it by x minus 2, we get remainder as 0. Basically we have, if we divide and find out the remainder, so this basically means that to find the value of f of a, and f of a in this case, f of 2 in this case, means we have value as 0. Okay, so this basically is completely cutting it. Okay, so like this is like saying that we are dividing 6 over 2 and finding the remainder. So 6 times 2 is basically 3, but remainder here will be 0, because like 2 we write 2 and 6 here. So the quotient here would be 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and we subtract 6 from 6 is 0. So basically we get remainder. To find the remainder, what we do is put 2, like f of 2 from the remainder theorem in this expression f of x, and we get the value. Whatever is the value is the remainder. So basically what the factor theorem says is, like states that x minus a अगर factor है f of x का, then f of a would be 0. Like putting the value a in expression f of x would yield value as 0. Would yield value as 0. F of a is 0. Okay, like like we can say, जैसे बोल सकते हैं कि अगर आपको दे रखा एग्जांपल कि एक्स क्यूब एक एक्सप्रेशन है, एफ ऑफ एक्स दे रखा है ये. ओके, एक्स ऑफ एक्स दे रखा है ये. ठीक है, और ये बोल रखा है कि इसका आपको फैक्टर बताने क्या क्या होंगे. ठीक है, सो बेसिकली वी कैन बाय हिट एंड ट्रायल सी दैट इफ वी सब्स्टिट्यूट x इज इक्वल टू -1. अगर x आप -1 पुट कर देख लो, x इज इक्वल टू -1, what we have here is -1 का क्यूब is -1 plus 6 into -1 का whole square is 6 only, minus 19x into -1 is plus 19, and this is -24. So this basically means 25, and this is -25. Basically equal to 0. अब देखो 0 आ जा रहा है, तो ये इसका मतलब ये है कि x माइनस -1, ठीक है, ये फैक्टर है फैक्टर ऑफ f ऑफ x, ये बोल रहा है. ठीक, ये f ऑफ x का फैक्टर है सब, क्योंकि रखने पे 0 आ जा रहा है, मतलब वैल्यू रखने पे एक्सप्रेशन में 0 आ जा रही है, इसलिए फैक्टर है. सो इस बेसिकली ये क्या है एक्सप्रेशन, ये दिस इज फैक्टर ऑफ कि -1 प्लस हो जाएगा, +1 हो जाएगा, फैक्टर ऑफ f ऑफ x. सो दिस बेसिकली इज अ फैक्टर थ्योरम. ओके, सो next, already we have like discussed, uh, started discussing topics on quadratic equation, how to find roots, and questions that come in multiple various MBA examinations. So this basically, in this basics video series, we are trying to cover very small, like conceptual clarity topics, because we understand that some of you might not have a formal background in mathematics. So this basically would be very helpful for you. Also, I'm going to stop this video here only. So this basically concludes our discussion. But we saw in this video factor theorem, remainder theorem, how to factorize a factoring a polynomial, which helps in finding roots. We saw that polynomials can be classified on the basis of number of terms and number of degrees. What is a polynomial? What is a monomial, binomial, trinomial, polynomial? Okay. So we will meet again in the next video with some new concept, okay, related to algebra only. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe our channel. Share it with your friends. Thank you.